the text also talks about mindfulness on an excellent person, a personal excellence. For me, this was what Rudy was. I mean, any teacher isn't perfect. There will be some things there that are not perfect. But what is perfect is the consciousness below it. So if you use that contact, mindfulness on that contact as a doorway, then you really go into that deeper state in yourself, and you have used the doorway. Don't camp, next to a doorway and start decorating it and talking about how this or that it is. That's not the point. A doorway is to be walked through. I think you're expressing the basic allergy in Western culture,
Yeah.
And that is, I'm supposed to be independent, I'm supposed to take care of myself. And of course that's good and true, but it's also true that at times if you really want to learn something or transform yourself, you have to have some guidance. You have to use a mirror that shows you where you have to work more clearly and helps you to get through those difficult points. This is important. If you want to be a virtuoso violin player, very few people manage to do that on their own. And to transform yourself into a deeper awareness of yourself is the most challenging thing in the world, because you're dealing with the most challenging entity in the world, and that's your ego. My ego, everybody's ego. The trick is, how do you work with this person? First of all, to use your intelligence in choosing somebody to be in your life. You have to trust that there's somebody there who has some accomplishment and has gone through some of the things that you're struggling with and can help you to get through it. To see this awareness that we are is a little bit like being able to see your own face. We are totally incapable of seeing our own face, aren't we, without a mirror? You can't see it. Isn't that curious? And this awareness, this consciousness is such. You cannot see that consciousness because it is obstructed by your ego. So what happens in class, ideally, is that your deeper awareness is awakened, by seeing that in another person. So whether that person who's sitting there is totally enlightened or who cares? As long as the person is really working sincerely towards being in touch with that deeper state, it can be a mirror for you. And it's not always just teachers who can do that. If you have a really close person in your life who can be a mirror for you, that's helpful. But usually what happens is that you get two egos who are not reflecting anything other than ego to each other, and then you have an ego soup that is not so pleasant. So you have to be careful with that, and it is important to be careful how you choose to enter a relationship like that, because it's serious if you really want something out of it. How you work with it is very serious. It is said in these texts, and I think it's 100% true, you cannot choose a teacher with your mind, with your head. You choose with your deeper heart, your deeper yearning. You see it when it's there. The mind is either the slayer of the soul, or it's the key to transforming, is the door opener. It can be both, So the higher mind is the wish to grow and really consciously turning these things from being something that binds and traps us and creates karmic situations to something that frees us. And sometimes you free yourself from it by acting on it, but if you're acting on it in that non-attached state, well, then you will also be open to take the consequences and learn from it. Does it make sense? Yeah. The key thing is not think of it as trying to control anything. Exactly. And this is your mind working. This is the ego mind, you know. Yeah. Your mind says, oh, I got to make a decision about this. Yeah. Who says? You don't have to make a decision. Let your deeper self make a decision. Yeah. Sit with it long enough and deeply enough so that the answer comes up from within you. Yeah, well, and then from that deeper state, you observe, well, what's happening, you know? What's happening to me? What's happening to people around me? What is the best way to move here?
Where's the flow?
Where's the flow? And not the hippie flow, but the real flow. The hippie flow leads to doing your own thing.
Fruit salad.
And that's ego.
Fruit salad.
Yeah. The yogi flow is something different. It's the flow of God. And these things are extremely practical, but because we are so used to analyzing and using the mind and wanting to decide, oh, I got to have the right action here. Well, wait until you know what that action is before you make a move. Yeah. You can do this simple dynamic stillness practice, focus on your chakras, bring it in there. Don't repress it or deny it. And if it's a pleasant experience, that can be just as much a trap as a very difficult experience. Oh, yeah. Then look at it and say, well, I'm at a peak now, but you know, I will be on the other end. And after a while, all these cycles become just like waves in the ocean, and you realize that the ocean is always there. So the ocean is this divine consciousness that we can really not describe, but we can have it emerge in us as an attitude, as a way of experience, it's not really an experience, that's what's difficult with language. It's just an attitude and a realization. That's why the text, Pratya Vision of Hridayam, calls it the recognition of consciousness. You recognize who you are. And it's just when it happens in a glimpse or in a deeper immersion, it is just a recognition. Oh, I really always knew this, but now I really know it. Now I am there.